Well, here we go. The State Fair of Texas. The State Fair of Texas is not the State Fair of Texas. If you listen to my show in Dallas-Fort Worth for over 15 years, you would know, and if you don't, that's okay too. I am a concealed carry holder, and of course, the state of Texas, we passed constitutional carry, so we don't need a permit, but I always have a permit and always renew my permit. I just did for the third time, I think, or something of that nature, because I want reciprocity where I can go while concealed carrying into the state of Missouri, Tennessee, Arkansas, not South Dakota, I'm sure, but New Mexico, Colorado, etc. It's a beautiful thing, real beautiful thing. Oklahoma. So the State Fair of Texas became the State Fair of California last year when they California'd our Texas at the State Fair, which is the most abhorrent, offensive thing they could ever do. They did it. What does that mean? A thug, about a year and a half ago, roughly, 2 years ago maybe, a thug at the State Fair, actually it was 2 years ago at the State Fair, a thug showed up with a gun illegally. He didn't have a permit or anything like that. He saw somebody that he didn't like at the food court at the State Fair, and he shot it up. Nobody died, thankfully. I don't even think anybody was hit. But the State Fair of Texas said, a thug brought a gun illegally without a permit to the State Fair and shot up the food court. Let's ban guns from people like Chris Kroc and you who lawfully carry their weapons with a concealed carry permit. Let's ban them because the lawful owners, like Chris and possibly like you, we're the problem. We're the thugs. Never mind that the guy who was carrying didn't even have a lawful possession of a firearm. Take away the guns from the good people. That became the State Fair of California, and sort of the annoying Karen who was their spokesperson. So what's really, really not surprising, but also a joy for me to see, is that the State Fair of Texas, which is the State Fair of California, has now lost. They're at their lowest attendance in over a decade, I believe. They lost 400,000 people did not come. And they're trying to say, whoa, it was hot. I live here. I am in the same area that the State Fair of Texas is every year. And I'm going to tell you right now, we did not have an exceptionally hot summer. We had a normal summer. I think last year we were blessed with a lighter, a little bit lighter of a heat wave. This year was normal. This was regular. There was nothing extraordinary about this summer. But what was different is this year they banned people like you and me from coming. So I do think that played a major role in the 400,000 people not coming. Such a low attendance this year. In a state of 30 million, just about 2 million or slightly less showed up this year instead of 2.4 million last year. Such a low number that they're donating tons and tons of food. Good. You know what else they do? They ban people who have logos. I had a T-shirt maker in the Metroplex who has a shirt. It has like a gun is in the emblem and some other stuff. And he's at all the state fairs all over this country. And the State Fair of Texas said, no, our values are California values. We don't want you. They reject the values of this state. There is a flippin' reason why we have had concealed carry in this state since George W. Bush, at the time the governor, passed it. After the Luby's massacre, when a woman was said she was in that Luby's in Central Texas, in Killeen, and a monster drove his truck through the entrance and shot and killed, I think, 27 people and murdered them. I saw that raw footage from the state police because I had somebody who knew somebody that was involved in that, and I watched it when I was living in Austin with my wife in the late 90s. So the State Fair of Texas is open to something god-awful happening. Hopefully it never happens, but could happen there because there's no concealed carry anymore. Screw you. You are not the State Fair of Texas. You are the State Fair of California. Your values are not of this state. We have had concealed carry for, 20 years, 25 years? I don't even know. Maybe no. George Bush was president in 2000 to 2000. Hussein Obama was. So it must have been passed in the 90s. So this is so disgusting and viscerally angering to me, as you can tell. So there we go on that. So good. Screw you. The president of the State Fair of Texas says, at its core, the State Fair of Texas is about bringing people together to celebrate the spirit and culture that make our state one of a kind. You reject the spirit and culture of the state by rejecting us, lawful permitted carry holders. Okay, so there's one choice for you, State Fair of Texas. If you want us to show back up, there's one way forward for you. Repent, which is a Christian term, but it's also can be used in our terms, lay terms. I use them for both. Repent, turn away from your offense, and allow the people and apologize. Repent, apologize, and open it up for us to go back again. Until then, I got a big finger for you. It's right in the middle of my fist, okay? But I'm not going to do that. Try to have a little bit of decorum. Okay, let's go to the City College of Chicago. I believe this may be one of the ones my father went to, and I believe this also may be one of the ones my brother went to years ago, where this guy is at the City College of Chicago. He was at the No Kings rally, which, by the way, was a flop for the most part. I know there's some good turnouts in some places, but nothing like it should have been. It was a flop. You had a lot of old senior citizens, and it's just like the last time. This was a step up, but it was nothing. It accomplished nothing. By the way, the shutdown's probably going to end this week because they wanted to wait for this stupid thing, and then they're going to end the shutdown because we're winning in that too. I'll play some audio for that in just a little bit. But here is a City College of Chicago professor, according to all these reports, who is threatened and said we should shoot and kill ICE. Listen to this.
You got to grab a gun. We got to turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
So there he is. Today, the DHS says during the Chicago No Kings rally this previous weekend, violent rioters called for the cold-blooded murder of ICE agents. This rioter and his statements have been referred to the DOJ. He will be prosecuted. The city of Chicago loves sick men like this. However, at least the Democrats that run it do. However, I think, I don't know if they're going to fire him or not, but he's going to be charged and prosecuted. She says there's no place, DHS Secretary, there's no place in America for psychotic incitements or unlawful violence against ICE or CBP. To those who threaten violence against us, we will hunt you down, we will find you, and justice will be served. 8 of the men. Oh, look at this. Let's look at the UCLA, their race and equity director. This is the second race and equity director, at least that I've seen, saying sick, violent things because equity and race stuff is vile, it's communist, and it destroys this country, and it hates the American family, God, the Bible, Christians, and faith. Here it is. This is the Race and Equity Director at UCLA, who is currently on leave after celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. Look what he said over the weekend for No Kings. Kill your masters. Hey, looks like a great guy. Nice, friendly guy. Maybe he's available for a date. Ladies, if you're looking for somebody who's homicidal against the authorities, there he is. Kill your masters. Wow. Meantime, here we go. I've got some other stuff to share with you. Here's CNN about how lowly attended they're trying to polish the turd, but nonetheless, here's how low the attendance was at the. This is CNN in D.C., where at the Mecca. This should be the massive one. It was in a small area. And he says they were packed. It was 2:30 p.m. The speakers stopped and everybody was leaving. It was sparsely. There was nobody there. So he's like, "Oh, it's like they're mostly peaceful with flames going behind. Whoa, there's a huge attendance." And there's like nobody behind him. Well, it just ended. 2:30, gone. It was a desert ghost town. Everybody was leaving. Here we go.
This program of speakers just ended a short time ago. I can tell you that the crowd is thinning out here. People have started to leave. But, boy, it was jam-packed here just a few minutes ago when the program of speakers was still going on. You had Senator Bernie Sanders, who just wrapped up to a rousing round of applause.
Rousing.
Senator Chris Murphy spoke. Bill Nye, the science guy, spoke. And, again, the crowd...
Bill Nye, the science guy. Climate change. Is that why we had not one hurricane this season?
Just are thinned, but they're not gone yet. I mean, there was just tens of thousands of people packed into a relatively small space here.
Oh, it's thin, but it was thinned. It was thinned out, but I'm telling you, it was so packed.
On Pennsylvania.
Oh, my gosh.
Avenue, and they were pressing forward as they arrived, to pack into a very, very tight space.
Yeah, it was so packed. It was a very, very tight space. Yeah, there's nobody there. They're all leaving. They're all at 2:30 in the afternoon. Okay, so that was fun right there. I wanted to play this too with regards to, I did tell you about this. In Chicago, I've told you in depth about that. I played the audio of the reporter. In fact, I should pull it up again. I apologize, but I played it for you where a reporter on ABC 7 in Chicago, what happened was two thugs were blocking in and hindering ICE. ICE chased them down. ICE and Border Patrol chased them down into a Chicago neighborhood. They hit him with a pit maneuver to spin him out. The two thugs in there are illegals from Venezuela. They've been cuffed and stuff. One of them had, I think, a warrant and previous arrest. But they're cuffed and stuffed them. And then as this happened, people come out of the woodwork in the neighborhood in Chicago there, and they start attacking ICE. One of them, a 15-year-old thug, throws an egg and hits the ICE officer or Border Patrol officer right in the head. You can see it on camera. And then he picks up rocks, according to authorities, and including at that point ABC 7's reporter who was live talking to the anchor says, "Oh, quote." I wouldn't use the Lord's name in vain, or at least I try not to ever. But she goes, "Oh my God, they're throwing rocks. I have to get out of here." I played that for you on this podcast. And so that is the 15-year-old thug. Here's the 15-year-old thug's mom talking to NBC5. This is on my Twitter feed. Everything I'm talking about is on my Twitter feed, at Chris Kroc Show. I don't call it X. ChrisKROK. By the way, I had a blast filling in for Jesse Kelly on the Jesse Kelly Show on Friday. I'm filling in again Thursday. So there's 220 stations. Just Google Jesse Kelly Show. You can listen to me on one of the 220 radio stations across America. I love filling in for Jesse. Love the Jesse Kelly Show. But here is here's the mom of the 15-year-old thug complaining like her 10. It's like like a 10 or 8-year-old child that got abducted by ICE. Listen to this.
They took my son, and I gotta work. I got a phone call from work saying that they took my son. He's only 16, and he was violated. They said they slammed him.
He was violated. They disappeared my son. He's a U.S. citizen. Yeah, who threw an egg and hit an ICE officer, a federal officer, in the head, and who also picked up rocks to throw at them, according to the witnesses and the authorities.
And he was violated. They said they slammed him to the ground. I just want my baby back.
There's absolutely no reason.
Can babies pick up rocks and eggs and throw them and hit them at federal officers in the head? Your baby?
To have this kind of chaos happening in our communities, putting people at risk,
That was an activist. Yeah, there's no reason to put people at risk. Well, when people come out and attack ICE, throw stuff at them, then that's what's going to happen. So carrying the water for J.B. Pritzker, big boy, B-O-I as I call him. He is big boy. Big boy. Okay, let's get into this. Speaking of all the riots and stuff for La Migra, Border Patrol, etc., ICE, Ninth Circuit rules. This is the San Francisco docket, the one that is rabidly leftist, but even they ruled today, this afternoon, that the National Guard can deploy into Portland. Woo! Go! Go, 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 go. Hold on. Go! I got to hit the button. Here we go. Go! Go, 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 go! Go! Yes, ICE can deploy to Portland. The National Guard. Tina Kotek, their crazy leftist governor, said, "The city is beautiful. The city is thriving." Well, we see the videos over and over again, including today. They're sick and they're out of control. So, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco said that Trump lawfully exercised his statutory authority to deploy the Guard. The president is unable, with regular forces, to execute the laws of the United States. This is insurrection and rebellion. These are the insurrectionists. Now, ICE in Chicago, here's the thing about that. October 16th, so 4 days ago, the Circuit Court of Appeals there upheld the decision to block Trump. He's now appealing to the Supreme Court. They will allow it because all this is saying we need our ICE agents. It's about protecting federal agents and property. That's the way he can do this. That is what he can do. And by the way, Governor, what's his name, Big Boy, said that I've never seen troops on the streets. We don't have. Listen to me, you SOB. I don't want to get. Sorry. Listen to me, you bleep. My dad was a Chicago police officer in the 60s and 70s. We saw that on the ground there. My dad saw it personally. He saw deuce and a quarters, Humvees going down the streets with armed troops, Army, National Guardsmen with M16s fully loaded, ready to go during the riots, the King riots, during the DNC. My dad saw it while I was a Chicago police officer. He was also in the National Guard, but he was in the police side at that time. So this is not the first time it's going to be happening. It will happen. It will happen. Pray it comes sooner rather than later. In their appeal to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the Trump administration said in court documents, the lower court judge, this is that leftist Biden judge in Portland, the lower court judge had, quote, impermissibly second-guessed the commander-in-chief's military judgments. That's exactly right. And that's why this federal judge in Chicago had said you need to have body cameras. Now, I played you audio on Friday's podcast of Ali Honig, the chief top legal correspondent for CNN. He's even bigger than Jeffrey Lubin, if you remember who he is. Jeffrey Lubin. He was watching the Yankees. Anyway, what's his name? Eli Honig says this is obscene. The judge never. She's not a law enforcement official. She can't tell him what kind of body cameras, when and how and where to turn it off. He's like, this is going to be totally overturned. It's bogus. Leftist Eli Honig on leftist CNN said that. Now, one more thing. We have a follow up to the Dallas illegal gangbanger who put out a hit on ICE saying, quote, $10,000 for each ICE. He posted a tweet for a bounty on to kill ICE agents on TikTok. I should say $10,000 for each ICE agent. 10 dudes in Dallas with guts. So this is Eduardo Aguilar, and I know this happened the other day, but there's news that came out today in this. He was armed with a loaded pistol when the federal authorities showed up to pinch him. He now possibly faces felony weapons charges. He's illegal. He's not supposed to have a weapon. But, hey, and Daniel Cuomo, the illegal hugger and violent illegal hugger, new DPD chief in Dallas, Cuomo's never met an illegal he hasn't loved. So in Cuomo's Dallas, you'd be released, and you wouldn't be handed over to ICE after you got caught with that. But thankfully, the feds got him. He came in illegally. This is how this stuff works. Look, he came in illegally in 2018 as an unaccompanied minor. Now he's a thug trying to kill ICE agents and pay you and me to kill ICE agents. That's sick SOB. His criminal history in the U.S. includes charges for violating liquor laws. Anyways, again, we know DPD under Cuomo, for example, he loves illegals, including criminal illegals. He will release them, and it's up to ICE to try to figure out what's going on because he doesn't want them getting deported, even the criminals, the violent criminals. Nonetheless, England, the UK, as it says in the headline here, the UK has fallen. The UK has fallen. And I want to share a couple of things that I read. This is all about radical Islamists. This is about letting millions of Muslims from Muslim nations in Africa, in northern Africa, to invade your country, and they take over. This is all about unmitigated illegal invasion like we have here under 4 years of Joe Biden. And thank God Trump's doing an unprecedented deportation for an unprecedented invasion. So this is a column from Dan Gaynor on Fox News today, and I highlighted here and there pieces you must hear, okay? I also have a column today in the Wall Street Journal from the editorial board from it's not violent, but a sick, vile thing that happened in England. So England's fallen. Listen to this. For example, you and I know the Syrian-born 35-year-old migrant who named, his first name was Jihad, the one who plowed into a synagogue on a high holy Jewish day 2 weeks ago and slaughtered 2 Jews. Jihad, what a nice name. What a wonderful chap. Anyways, he writes, Britain has imported millions who hold no allegiance to its nation or its beliefs. They brought them brought in with these millions of illegals or migrants, whatever you want to call them, both hatred of Jewish people and Western civilization. I don't know if they're illegal. I don't know if, you know what I mean? So I don't know if we should call them migrants, which means they're legally allowed to come in my opinion, or illegals. But anyway, they brought with them a hatred of Jewish people and Western civilization. These are people from the Muslim nations in in Africa. Even the ceasefire, he writes, didn't satisfy them. That's absolutely correct. Islamists will never be satisfied with anything until every infidel like you and me and every Jew is slaughtered. They are satanic. Not Muslim people, but Islamists are satanic. That is exactly what they're doing, is Satanism, practicing it and doing it by seeking to slaughter and kill Jews and people who don't bow to their sick lies and radicalism. A new YouGov poll in the UK says that 1 out of 5 Britons now hold anti-Semitic views. 20% of every person in Britain hates Jews. Get that. That's what Joe Biden-like invasions create in a country. Hatred for and a love of multiculturalism. It's the salad bowl versus the melting pot where everybody goes into one. Jews in England, he writes, seems disturbingly that they are. What's happening to Jews in England seems disturbingly similar to what it was in 1930s Germany. Excuse me. Get out while you can. Get out while you can. The Labour Party member, one of them, his name is Jeevan Sandler, came out October 12th urging England to take down its flag from lampposts because it was seen as unwelcoming to immigrants. A local politician was recently investigated by police, he writes, after she said she was born and bred here. Can't even say that. She was investigated by cops for that. A recent study showed rural England is, quote, by a university, that rural England is, quote, overwhelmingly white and needs inclusion. You're seeing the fall of England. He writes in here that 10 to 20 years, they're 10 to 20 years ahead of us. I thought about this today in the shower, and I thought, thank God Trump is the president. But you know what? As Dr. Jeffress, my pastor and friend from First Baptist Dallas, says that we are under no aspersions as Christians that we're going to stop all this and heal everything. But what we're here to do is to be salt and light. Salt slows decay, but we are still going to continue to decay, unfortunately. What else do I have here? It's common, he says, for tour guides, museum employees, and docents to fill their talks with leftist talking points about climate change, like Bill Nye the Science Guy, the liar, the hoax, to fill up with talking points about climate change and immigration. Many historic sites I visited, he said, were quick to demonize British history. Explorer and privateer Sir Francis Drake, who heroically defended England against the Spanish Armada, is slammed as an enslaver at the very maritime museum he helped inspired. He watched 13 UNICEF UK ads. You know, in the UK, they're all about Gaza and Muslim countries. Nothing about the people in their own country or Israel. Nothing. Rather than defend its own history and culture, he says, the government wars against the people in the country. Already 12,000 people are arrested each year for what they say online in England. This is all we're going to. You want to talk about no kings? That's the left. That's Joe Biden having his Justice Department come after us, investigate us, whether it be Catholics, whether it be the Trump administration, whether it be parents showing up at meetings, trying to Orwellianly go after us online and censor us, ban us, or charge us, throw us in jail during COVID, making us have IDs like Governor Pritzker, or to even go into a bookstore. That's a king right there. Arresting a single lone paddleboarder in California for having the audacity to go out during COVID and paddleboard by himself on the ocean. That's Gavin Newsom. He's a king too. England, he says, this guy says, is perhaps 10 to 20 years ahead of us. Our campuses are filled with hate. Now listen, this is where I want to play this one. This is a young black kid at No Kings. And he has been trained up in these ways, like England is falling, that I just read about. And he's been trained up probably at our universities. He is a professionally aggrieved black kid. And he has been taught to scream and yell, and that white people cannot do anything to oppose him. If they do, they're racist. Listen to how this goes. This is so awesome. And at the end, you can hear a black man who watched this. I don't know what side he's on, but he says, dude, you lost it. If the guy went off on you because you yelled at him. If you would have a conversation, it wouldn't have gone this way. So he's trying to school this poor, ignorant, angry young black man. Listen to this. This is really great. Here you go. This is the No Kings rally, and I call it Raging Black Kid. Here we go.
You don't deserve to be here. You do not deserve to be here, bro. You're white men. Do you know? You're white men talking about women's issues. Why does our skin color matter? Your skin color allows you certain things that it does not allow me. You're not gonna invalidate me as a black man. I'm not. I am literally emasculated every fucking day. Do not invalidate me, bro. Stop. You cannot come to it, but you cannot come.
Do not invalidate me, bro. You're white. I'm emasculated every day. Nobody emasculates you unless you let yourself be emasculated. He's been taught well to be a professional victim and that he's black, so he's aggrieved, and the white man can't say anything. This guy's an idiot. He's a poor fool is what he is, a useful idiot.
Come to a park like this where it's for
You're invalidating me by saying that.
Oh, so you're the victim, right? So
you're kicking me out of the park.
I'm going to go back because he says you came here to the park and you're invalidating me by being here. Listen.
You cannot come to a park like this where it's for
You're
misfits.
invalidating me by saying that.
Oh, so you're the victim, right? So
You're
the victim?
kicking me out of the park.
Yeah,
yes.
you don't deserve to be here. You do not deserve to be here, bro. You do not deserve to be here with these opinions, sir.
No, he's wrong.
You see how they talk to me first? You see how they talk to me first?
He's mad that the cop is talking to him first. You know why? Because he's out of control and he's screaming in this guy's face. The cop's like, dude, calm down, calm down, calm down. So he starts as a aggrieved black victim, and the white man's bad. He loses his cool because he's been taught to scream and yell, to shut people down, call them racism, oppressor, whatever, and that he's oppressed. And then the cop says, calm down, because the kid's out of control. And then look at see how they talk to me because I'm black. So it's a perfect cycle of victimhood, and he's a perfect useful idiot.
No, he's wrong.
You see how they talk to me first? You see how they talk to me first?
You're yelling. If you wasn't yelling and you was talking normal and calm, they wouldn't come at you first. They would come and say, what's the problem?
Yeah, if you weren't yelling and screaming, the cop wouldn't tell you to calm down. They'd be saying, what's the problem? They wouldn't call you out. So he's a professional victim. He's a fool. And he's out of control, and he's been taught screaming and yelling, and victimhood is exactly how you win. That kid has a lot to learn, and I hope he's not too far gone, but he sure sounds like it. He has been raised up by these leftist college professors. I'm sure he went to college or goes to college, and he's a perfect, useful idiot. Okay, one more thing on England, how it's fallen. In English City, this is disgusting. And makes me very angry to think about. There is an upcoming tournament in the second largest city in England, Birmingham. They have a professional soccer team. There is a professional soccer game coming up. I think it's a tournament or something, or a finals game or something, between Tel Aviv's soccer team, and the Birmingham team. And the city of Birmingham, in the country of England, overrun by their own choice of having millions of illegal or legal, whatever they are, Muslims, invade their country, distort their country, destroy their country from within. By the way, Britain and France and Germany eventually will become Islamic states. I am not kidding you. I'm not making this up. Look it up yourself. The Muslim birth rate is five children on average in the family. The secularists who are unmarried, which is like what Britain and all of Europe has becoming secularist, out of wedlock, no marriage, etc. Their birth rate is like 1.1 kids per family or something of that nature. And so it's stunning. Britain has already, in my opinion, it's already fallen. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse and worse. It's going to fall. And these things fall fast. Listen to how bad this is. So 2 weeks after an Islamist terrorist attack in Manchester, which I mentioned earlier, Birmingham's game against Tel Aviv, because the police say and the government there says it's a high-risk event, they're banning the frickin' peaceful Jews from coming. Jews have been said, don't come. Jews don't come to Birmingham. Don't come to celebrate your team from Tel Aviv. Because we have ceded Birmingham, the second largest city in England, to the Islamists. And they will rip you to shreds. They will hurt you, perhaps kill you. We are too overrun with Islamists. We surrender to the Islamists. That's what the mass immigration has done from North Africa and Muslim nations, with Islamists taking over. Quote, the event is high risk. It's based on current intelligence and previous incidents. The police in Birmingham cite the 2024 riot in Amsterdam, which I talked about on the radio at the time. Muslim cabbies and other Islamists hounded and assaulted Jewish fans. They chased them through the streets. They went into restaurants. They beat them. They screamed at them. They threw things at them. And by the way, these people are Mandami fans. You know these Islamists, they're so happy that Kami Mamdani is going to win in New York City. We're going to get into that in a minute. There's some really telling things about that. Meantime, a local Muslim scholar there said this month of the Tel Aviv fans for soccer, quote, we will not show them mercy in Birmingham. See, this is like Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Oh, inshallah, we will show the infidels no mercy, inshallah. Quote, we will not show them mercy in Birmingham. Ayub Khan, separately, Ayub Khan, an independent member of parliament, circulated a petition that said letting the soccer match proceed against Tel Aviv would, quote, send a message of normalization and indifference to mass atrocities. You have Islamists running the government. Keir Starmer, a far leftist, said the ban is the wrong decision. However, and this is from the Wall Street Journal editorial board today, the ban is a wrong decision. He says, we will not tolerate anti-Semitism in our streets. But the Wall Street Journal editorial board properly and rightly says, this is obviously false, given the marchers who have chanted anti-Semitic slogans across Britain for 2 years, blah, blah, blah. Starmer, contra Mr. Starmer, they say, what Britain isn't tolerating in its streets is Israeli soccer fans. Jews are not welcome in Birmingham. Jews are not welcome in England's second largest city. You hear that clearly. To my Jewish friends there, I am so sick and sorry. But if I were you, while things are still moderately decent, sell and get out of there. Come here. We'd love to have you, or go to Israel, wherever you want. The more Jews in America, the happier I am. I know you might not vote the way I am, and I don't care. I love my Jewish brothers and sisters. Come here. Go somewhere where you're welcome. You're welcome here. Just vote for our side. One more thing on the Gaza hostage deal. This is also from the Wall Street Journal editorial board yesterday. The other side of the Gaza hostage deal. Quote, the 250, they you know how Israel released 250 Palestinians that were sentenced to life for terrorism? The 250 released Palestinians who had been serving life sentences received at least $70 million around. $70 million while serving time for terrorism. It's from the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority is who people like Keir Starmer, the leftists in this country and in Europe want to, they want to use the Palestinian Authority to help run a Palestinian state. They just gave about $70 million over to the 250 jihadis, terrorists convicted and in jail that were released by Israel. That's who should never run anything. No Palestinian state ever. It cannot peacefully coexist. It is there to slaughter Jews. That's why they voted for Hamas twice. That's why that's in their charter, to wipe out Israel off the face of the map. That's why 72% of Gazans voted in a poll in Gaza. 72% after October 7th said, yes, we love what they did. We still approve of Hamas. 3/4 of Gazans said, we love Hamas. Kill the Jews. I want their blood in the streets. Wipe Israel off the map. I don't want one Gazan, Palestinian, whatever you want to call them, ever coming to this country. One is too many. I know we have some here. For example, Rashida Tlaib, who said nothing about the ceasefire, celebrated nothing about the ceasefire. Nothing. Because she hates Jews and loves terrorists and loves Hamas. Okay. Mamdani. Here he is, smiling and posing just Friday, just the other day, with a radical Islamist. On the right is Siraj Wahhaj. Mamdani put that out on Twitter. Oh, look at me and Siraj Wahhaj. Siraj Wahhaj is a terrorist supporter, openly. This is from the New York Post. Siraj Wahhaj, who we featured there, Mamdani on a social media feed, is an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing that killed 6. Killed 6. Remember, Bill Clinton was president when that happened? That was a big deal. That was the precursor to taking the towers down. I'm sure Mamdani was absolutely happy when that went down. I would be surprised if he wasn't happy. Unequivocally to me. But anyway, so Siraj Wahhaj, he's a big supporter of his. Mamdani is. He was one of the unindicted co-conspirators of the World Trade Center bombing in 93. He also has urged jihad on the Big Apple. Siraj Wahhaj said this. I'm sorry. Mamdani wrote, Siraj Wahhaj is one of the nation's foremost Muslim leaders and a pillar of the Bed-Stuy community, Bedford-Stuyvesant, one of the bedrock communities, homes, well-known neighborhoods in New York City. He says that he's a pillar of the Bed-Stuy community for nearly half a century. Mamdani wrote Friday with that picture, accompanying that picture. So the World Trade Center attack that I just mentioned, left 6 dead. Publicly, they defended the plotters of the attack against the FBI and the CIA. Literally, he defended the attack, the plotters of the attack, and he called the FBI and CIA the real terrorists. That's Siraj Wahhaj, who Mamdani took a picture with and celebrated on Friday. Wahhaj also testified in support of the blind Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman, the leader of a terrorist sect out of Egypt. He called him a respected scholar. In the early 2000s, Wahhaj called for an army of 10,000 men to wage what he insisted was a gun-free jihad on New York City. He hates gays. Mamdani loves Islam. Mamdani supports many people who hate gays. Wahaj said the LGBT community is a disease on this society. He says, you know what the punishment is if a man's found with another man? Kill them both. This is the next mayor he's going to win of New York City. He loves people that want to kill gays. Are you figuring this out? And by the way, the young white liberals, look at the video footage from the night that Mamdani won the Democrat nominee. It became the nominee. They're all white and they're all young. They were jumping up and down going crazy. They're like 18 to 35 probably, and most of them make $100,000 to $1 million or more. I know that $100,000 isn't much in New York City, but $100,000 to $1 million or more is what they make. That's who's going to elect him, and they're going to literally vote in the guy because they're so ignorant. They've been raised up so properly on DEI and crazy leftist policies that they're going to vote for the people who would literally kill them and their friends. That is the level of ignorance and what the academia and leftism has done. It is, as I was listening to Mark Levin's show on the weekends. I love his show, whatever, Life, Liberty, Levin, or whatever it's called. And he's real deep, and it's good stuff. I love doing my yard work and listening to it, although it gets dark now. But I'll listen in the shower after I've done my hard work. I know you want to hear about me in the shower. I know you're a big fan of that. But these young leftists are going to vote for their demise, is what this is. Useful idiots. In 2018, Siraj Waj, this is wild. Again, this is the guy that Mamdani took a picture with and said he's awesome on Friday, and is a pillar of the Bed-Stuy community. In 2018, Siraj Wahaj, 3 of his children were arrested for keeping 11 kids in a, quote, third world conditions in a compound made of garbage in the New Mexico desert. You remember this? Listen to this. One of the victims told the prosecutors that Wahaj's namesake son was training a 13-year-old and his teen brother to fight against non-believers through techniques including rapid reloads, in other words, guns, hand-to-hand combat. The intelligence report on that claimed that Wahaj homeschooled his children and likely shaped the extremist ideology of the busted terror cell. So you have a man who birthed a terror cell. You have a man who wants to kill gays, and Mamdani loves him. Welcome to the grand, ignorant, white leftist youth of this nation. God help us, and God help New York City. Less than 2 weeks, just less than 2 weeks ago, remember, Mamdani posed with the Ugandan deputy prime minister who pushed some of the most oppressive anti-LGBTQ laws in the world. She passed a law sentencing gay people to jail for life. This is what Islam is. This is what radical Islam is in particular. And this is what Mamdani loves. Radical Islam. He is loyal to radical Islam. He hates Jews. He wants to wipe Israel off the map. He's gratefully going to, hopefully in his view, hopefully arrest Benjamin Netanyahu when he comes here. God help us. This is from Red State, a guy I follow on Red State. He's just an awesome, prolific tweeter. The ADL, he says today, because the ADL came out today and condemned or gave criticism to Zoran Mamdani. Quote, the ADL is based in New York City. New York City has the largest Jewish population in the U.S., and it took until October 20th of 2025 for the ADL to offer any criticism of Zoran Mamdani while not even expressly opposing him. A worthless left-wing organization. Exactly. You can see all these tweets. Everything I'm playing for you is on my Twitter feed, @ChrisCroc Show. CNN admits polls show Trump winning the showdown battle. Did I play that for you yet? I have not. Here we go. Here's Harry Enton saying Trump has won the showdown battle as of right now.
What about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay. What about the question of blame? Okay, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown, a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans blame Trump, a great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different world. It's a different world. 48% of Americans blame Trump a great deal for this particular shutdown. So it's more than 3 in 5 back in 2018/2019. It's less than half, a drop of 13 points. Again, it's no real wonder that Donald Trump at this point, looking at the shutdown, says, you know what, it's not actually harming me politically, in large part because he's getting less of the blame.
He wins 13 points higher during this shutdown than the last one. He wins. National Economic Director Kevin Hassert said Trump is the shutdown is likely to end sometime this week because they waited for the No Kings rally, and he warned the administration may impose stronger measures if the funding impasse continues. Amen. Oh, this is great. What's her name? Sydney Sweeney is playing a lesbian boxer who was, I guess, broke ground and stuff like that. Anyway, a lot of people who are, quote, queer movie fans, though, are upset that Sweeney's casting because she's not lesbian. Ha ha ha! Punk you! Ha ha ha! That's great. Oh my gosh, this just came out in the Daily Mail. This is sick. Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez is allegedly had an affair with a senior aide who later self-immolated, lit herself on fire. Her husband they were separated or something like that, and apparently because he may have known about the alleged affair. Anyways, Tony Gonzalez, who's running for Congress, and they're not responding. They're not denying the affair. Of the alleged affair. So this is just sick. Lengthy piece in the Daily Mail I read. So I also, the guy who's running against him, I can't remember his name, but I think I've interviewed him. I fill in San Antonio a lot, and I have been for like 4 years. Whoever the opponent of Tony Gonzalez is, I would know his name, but that's in South Texas. So, but he's much more in line with our views, and I think he will get elected. And Tony Gonzalez needs to say whether or not he had an affair, because that woman who was like his chief of staff, I think, lit herself on fire at some point after this began, according to the reports, allegedly. The lighting herself on fire is not alleged. Unfortunately, she died. Senator Markwayne Mullin, Congress senator out of Oklahoma, said that ICE did a sting with their state troopers in Oklahoma, and they pulled over every truck coming off of I-40. And within 3 hours, there were 17 semis in the first 3 hours that had illegals driving. At least this. Actually, I don't know if they were illegals, but listen. None of them spoke English, and their driver's license, their CDLs that they got from New York or California, literally didn't even list their names. It had a picture of a driver's license, and their name, no name was given. They were all from New York, Oakland, and California. Oakland's California. Were exactly the same, all of them. They couldn't speak English. We arrested 70 illegals. Okay, they were illegal, see? And they had to stop because their impound yard was filled. They had so many semis in there. The next day, they did it. On Wednesday, they did it again. On Thursday, they did it again. They doubled that number of illegals pulled over and nailed. After that, all the trucking companies routed around Oklahoma. So, Texas, where are we, Governor Abbott? Let's do this. Let's nail these SOBs. Get them out of here. Charlotte, where Irina Zarutska was murdered by a thug who's been arrested 1 million times or whatever. Not 1 million, but you know what I mean. Well, here we go. A Charlotte, North Carolina teenager with 111 arrests in just 2 years is let on the streets over and over again. A sergeant from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police. I fill in Charlotte, too. I love filling on that station. Including, here we go, the 15-year-old's record spans dozens of property crimes, vehicle thefts, larcenies from cars, and possession of stolen property, linked to about 50 separate cases involving at least 55 stolen vehicles and 45 break-ins. This was his Google search on his phone. Listen to this. They graduate to murder cops or murder our daughters or our sons or us. The following were Google searches, according to the police department, found on his cell phone. Quote, what is a charge for killing an officer? Is police murder a charge? What is capital murder? He says these are the things, the police department said, that a 15-year-old in possession of multiple firearms was searching for. Welcome to Thugland, Charlotte, where they love releasing thugs to finish the job and kill us. Sick. Here is a deranged teacher. Oh, you've seen this. It's all over social media. The lady who's when a truck driving by that said Charlie Kirk's banners passed by a No Kings rally. That teacher, she supposedly, according to the reports I have from Fox News, they claim she's a K-8 STEM teacher at an elementary school in Chicago Public Schools. Quote, tells you a lot about what America's children are facing and why Turning Point is more important than ever, says Andrew Colvett, the executive producer of Charlie's show. School choice is important. Sinking boat with a massive hole in it. Listen, if you can homeschool your kids, great. If you can't, know what's going on in your school. All right? And vouchers all the way. Comey, DOJ is now seeking to get Comey's lawyers dismissed because Comey's lawyers, he has a strategy he's been doing because Comey is a lawyer, I believe. Yes, he's a former federal prosecutor and former FBI director, and he's corrupt. And he rigged everything to try to put Trump in jail, and he belongs in jail. Comey has a strategy over the years that he's been doing for 20 years or so, or plus. He leaks stuff. He hires an attorney, and he leaks to that attorney. And then he has attorney-client privilege and he can't share. Well, unfortunately for him, the DOJ is now trying to get his attorney or attorneys thrown out because they have a conflict of interest because these same ones are, according to the Trump administration, guilty of the same thing. He hires them, he leaks information to them, they get it out to the public. which is illegal because these are sensitive and classified documents. And then they're representing him in the trial, so they can't be used. They can't use them as a witness against him. Well, they're going to try to get this dismissed, and I hope they do. Hasta mañana, y'all. It is always a pleasure. Remember, again, Thursday, I'm filling in on 220 stations across America for the great Jesse Kelly on The Jesse Kelly Show.